Let me guess, you got the Capital One card everyone's talking about, but now you're trying to book a simple domestic flight, and lo and behold, you find out that none of the major US airlines are actually transfer partners with Capital One. What? Now, before you use up all your miles by simply erasing your travel purchases, I'm here to show you a better way. I'm going to show you the secret sauce to booking domestic flights that can actually save you points. And we're going to be doing this by transferring our points to partner airlines. Now, before I show you how to do this, there's one key concept you need to understand. It'll make it all make sense, and this concept is airline alliances. This is the big magical missing piece that makes all of our points and miles dreams come true, so let me explain. So in my free transfer partner guide, which you can get by signing up for my weekly newsletter down in the description, I break down to 3 airline alliances. The biggest one is Star Alliance, which includes United Airlines among all of these other airlines too. The 3 partners within this alliance that we're going to be paying the most attention to is Avianca, Air Canada, and Turkish Airlines. And now here's the analogy that's going to make it make sense. So you're going to think of United as a restaurant like Chick-fil-A. I'm a big fan. So just like how Chick-fil-A can sell their items via different dining delivery apps like DoorDash, Grubhub, etc., United can do the same thing with Star Alliance members. Now, taking this a step further with this analogy, you may notice that Chick-fil-A may limit what items are available on each of these dining apps, and some of the pricing may actually be a little bit different as well. And this could depend on random factors like peak timing, promo codes, and whatever such reasons. And now this is also true with United and its partner airlines. So depending on various factors, each of these can be the best partner to use depending on whose pricing is better. And now I know that's quite a detour, but to summarize, we aren't able to transfer Capital One points to United and book flights on United's website, but we can book United flights through these delivery apps such as Avianca, Air Canada, and Turkish Airlines, and these partners may have different flights available and at different prices, just like with the food analogy. And then we could carry that same logic looking into the One World Alliance. There's American Airlines and Alaska Airlines, which are the domestic flights we actually want to book, but we can use Capital One points to book using Qantas Airways, Cathay Pacific, and Qatar Airways. A quick note about Qatar Airways: if you look at Capital One's transfer partner list, you'll see that Qatar is not actually a direct transfer partner to Capital One, but they are a partner of this Avios currency, and Capital One does transfer over to British Airways, which also has that same Avios currency. So I have a video detailing how to do this exactly, but you'll need to transfer your Capital One points over to British Airways and then transfer those points from British Airways over to Qatar, and then we could book these flights. But like I said, I've got a video detailing that process linked up above for your convenience. But going back, if we look at the SkyTeam Alliance, to book Delta flights, we're looking at using Virgin Atlantic and Air France or KLM, which Air France and KLM are really interchangeable because they're under the same rewards program, Flying Blue. Now that we've got that established, the first step before you transfer your points and book these flights is to first find award availability. And luckily, it's easier now more than ever because we've got better award search tools to use. Let me show you. Now, this award search tool is pointsya.com. It's one of my favorites because it's free to use and it's very powerful. So to use it is simple. You just type in where you want to go and when you want to go. We're going to go to Austin to Los Angeles, and now I can search for 8 days at a time. That's because I have a premium account, but if you have the free version, you search 4 days at a time, which is plenty enough. And so you go ahead and hit yeah to do the search results, and then after 20 seconds or so, you've got all of these different options to choose from. Now, I don't have American Airlines miles, and we're working with Capital One points, so you can actually filter for the bank program that you have for Capital One miles. Points.yeah doesn't search every single transfer partner, but it does a lot of them, as you can see here. Now, I'm gonna go one by one how to book Delta flights, United flights, and find American Airlines flights. So starting off with Delta, Virgin Atlantic and Flying Blue, which includes Air France and KLM, are the two that I'm talking about. So I can go ahead and filter for only Virgin Atlantic, and we can see our options here. Most of the time it's going to be the non-stop routes that you'll see that you're able to book with Flying Blue or with Virgin Atlantic, and you can see the prices here. And then you can also compare with Flying Blue by filtering for that one. As you can see, Virgin Atlantic is actually the cheaper price here. Now, this isn't always the case. We'll go into pricing here after this section so you can get a little bit more details there. But here's a pro tip about using these award search tools. Let's say you only see Virgin Atlantic results, but you don't see any Air France or Flying Blue results. That doesn't mean there's nothing there. Sometimes these award search tools can glitch out. So whenever that happens, if you see something on Virgin Atlantic, most of the time it's going to be available on Flying Blue. So I would go ahead and go to Air France or KLM's website and do that award search, and you can typically find that same result there. And sometimes the pricing might be better, so it's always good to double check. Let's say you want to use this Virgin Atlantic option. You can just select this arrow and hit yeah, let's go, and Points Yeah will actually take you directly to that result. Now, if you didn't want to use Points Yeah or an award search tool, you can go one by one and search Virgin Atlantic and then search KLM and etc. But this just makes it a little bit easier for you. So finding Delta flights is the easiest because Points Yeah does all the heavy lifting for you since it searches both of those transfer partners. However, whenever we look to book United flights, Points Yeah will really only search Air Canada and Avianca Life Miles. They advertise that they also search Turkish Airlines. However, they haven't been picking up United flights from Turkish Airlines for a long time. However, it does pick up Air Canada, so you can compare the pricing on here. And very similarly to the Delta issue, like I said, Points Yeah and other award search tools can glitch out, and sometimes they won't pick up award availability on Avianca or Air Canada, etc. In this case, it did pick up both, but if you see a flight with one partner, again, it's always good to search on the other website just to be sure that you're not missing out on any award availability. And in this case, Air Canada has the cheaper pricing of 10,000 miles. And so since there's availability on both Air Canada and Avianca, we can go to Turkish Airlines and check to see if there is some of the same award availability there. And so after logging into your Turkish Airlines account and after creating one, you'll want to select award ticket, go to Star Award, and then type in that same route. And if you've got it filtered here, it'll tell you what dates there's award availability up here, so you don't have to scroll through one by one. And then you'll just hit search flights. And then this is what it looks like whenever you hit search. You can scroll down and it'll say no seats available on a lot of these flights, but go all the way down and here is one flight that is available with Turkish Airlines. And so this is 10,000 miles, just the same as Air Canada. I would definitely choose Air Canada over Turkish Airlines because it could be a little difficult to deal with Turkish Airlines. That's a story for another video. You can check that out above. Now, American Airlines flights are a lot more tricky because the only partner that's searchable on Points Yeah to make it easy for you is with Qantas Airlines. So if we filter just for Qantas, we can see all these flights. And now a good and a bad thing about Qantas is that they pick up a lot of American Airlines availability, a lot of these connecting flights specifically. However, the other two partners, Cathay Pacific and Qatar, they are very stingy as far as what availability they actually have available to book. Now, to save you some time with Qatar Airways, whenever you try to look for availability there, you can still use clues that you find on Points Yeah in order to direct your search. Qatar Airways prices per segment, so if you have a connecting flight, it's going to cost you more miles. So you really just want to focus on non-stop flights, since that's the availability Qatar Airways typically picks up on anyways. And so we can see non-stop flights are available on Qantas for these dates, so we can go ahead and make that search on Qatar to see if we can find that same flight. To do that, you go to QatarAirways.com, make sure you log in, select book with Avios, and search that same route you're looking for. And then if there's availability, it'll show up like this. And as we can see, there are non-stop flights, and whenever you select economy, it'll be 14,500 miles for this particular route. In this case, it is better than Qantas, so this would be the ideal way to transfer your points and book. And now our other partner is with Cathay Pacific, and honestly, I can't find a good rhyme or reason as far as what availability they have and really what kind of pricing to really expect. So it's just good to check every so often if you're looking for a flight, and this is how you would do so. So you would go to Cathay Pacific, log into an account, redeem flights, type in your itinerary, hit redeem flights again. And so like Qatar Airways, they mainly had non-stop flights available. Cathay Pacific is truly random. For instance, all these results are only connecting flights and they're all 15,000 points. And this is actually really surprising for me because I never find American Airlines flights on Cathay Pacific. So this is kind of always changing. And honestly, anytime I have found flights on Cathay Pacific for domestic American Airlines flights, it's going to be around 15,000 miles. And this is true even for longer haul flights between LAX and New York, for example. So if you are doing those long haul flights Cathay Pacific is one to pay attention to, so you can take advantage of that 15,000 point pricing. So that's the easiest way to find award availability for domestic airline flights. Now, before I move on to pricing, let me just stress again that these award search tools are not perfect. If you have any doubt or if you really want to make sure you're not missing out on a good deal, check the airline site directly as well, just to have that final reassurance. So I talked about Cathay Pacific's pricing for American Airlines flights. Now this is the pricing with Qatar Airways and Qantas. And so as you can see, if you're flying shorter distances, you may want to book with Qantas, but then as we get into those further distances, you may want to look at Qatar instead. Qatar Airways may even have a benefit of booking over Qantas if you can find a transfer bonus, but we'll talk about those here soon. And then here's an award chart for Virgin Atlantic over here on the left. I didn't make it very pretty for you, but I did some test searching for Flying Blue Delta flights, and these were some of the numbers that I found. There's not a published award chart available with Flying Blue on their Delta flights, and so I kind of just found Virgin Atlantic flights and then compared the same Flying Blue price. And as you can see, it kind of varies. Flying Blue offers some cheaper prices for the super short haul flights, and then it kind of gets random later on. As we fly further, Flying Blue might be the preferred option, but it's not super predictable. For instance, for this longer flight, I found options at 18,000, 18,500. So there is a dynamic pricing component to it, but it's also relatively distance-based. Just always check both to figure out which one's better and consider any transfer bonuses. And then when we talk about United flights, we have 3 different options, and they're both pretty straightforward. My favorite of the 3 is Turkish Airlines. It's a little bit hard to read, but economy flights one way is going to cost you just 10,000 miles, no matter where you're flying from domestically. Doesn't matter the distance, it's going to cost 10,000 points one way. Now, a quick caveat to this, there has been some abnormal routes that I've found where it's supposed to cost 10,000 points, but it'll cost 20 or 15,000 kind of randomly. I haven't been able to find a pattern to this, but if you run across that, just know that that can happen. And then we've got the theoretical award chart with Avianca Life Miles, and now you can try to make sense of this region 1 to region 2, and this is how much it'll cost, etc. But it's not even super accurate because the lowest economy pricing one way that you can find is not 7,500 miles, it's 6,500 miles. So again, just kind of comparison shop, because Air Canada's cheapest price is going to be 6,000 miles one way, and then as you kind of progress with different distances, Avianca might get better than Air Canada, etc. So these are the award charts. Use them as you wish. Sometimes I just disregard them and actually just comparison shop when I'm looking at specific flights. Now, some last bonus tips here. Whenever you're booking with a partner airline, you should know that a lot of these partners have pretty hefty cancellation and change fees. So if you think you might change any of these flights, look at those before you actually book it. Second tip is if you're trying to save some points, because not all of these partner award flights are super cheap, transfer bonuses are going to be your lifesaver. You can save 15 to 40% on the points price by taking advantage of these transfer bonuses. For example, Capital One had a 20% bonus to British Airways, so that would have made your American Airlines flights 20% cheaper on the points price. If you want to know when these are actually happening, I up-to-date on when these are going on every Friday within my newsletter, and so I know that this transfer partner business can be tricky, but if you put in the reps, it gets easier with time. And now I do have some videos lined up here that I think will help in the meantime. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.